But first of all this morning, will things ever be the same again in the Lancashire village of Waddington? In a unique experiment to discover people's viewing habits, Granada Television gave the village its very own station. Now, local people became presenters, technicians and programme makers, and that experience has changed their lives. But was it for the better?
Waddington, population 3,000, is a typical Lancashire village, which is why it's been chosen for a unique experiment in television viewing trends. Television sets here have been wired up to receive 30 channels by cable and satellite. That includes the French porno channel, but they're all proving a huge turn-off because people here are mad as hell and they're not going to take it anymore, so they're watching their own home service.
Really good, hasn't it? It's been hard work, you know, taking up a lot of time and everything, but from my point of view, I've really enjoyed doing it.
Do you get nervous, Jonathan?
Initially, when we started, I used to get very nervous the first few programmes, but I found that if you went back and watched the programme through on the video, Mum always videoed it, of course, so we can go back and have a look. And if we went back to see the programme, any mistakes we've made really weren't very important.
Debbie, how do you think the show went tonight?
From my own personal point of view, I think it was hectic, really hectic. We've never had a night like tonight. There were yourselves filming, Channel 4, ABC News, our own two...
Television certainly has put this quiet village in the harsh glare of the media spotlight. Satellite dishes sprouting from every house have become part of the local flora.
We have over the top all the dishes, the satellite dishes, and they are gathering the signal in from the satellites, which are 22,000 miles above the Earth. And then the signals are being processed here. As you can see on the monitors here, we have all the signals, and then we're sending it out to the viewers in their homes.
And you're monitoring what they're watching, aren't you?
Yes, indeed. This is the object of the exercise. We have here two computers where we can actually tell who is watching what and for how long. Really, what we want to know is what people want to watch for the future.
Action!
What the villagers want to see is local, not global. This is The Good and the Bad, a mini-soap devised, written, starred in and filmed by the local children. The Bobby is the only outsider. He's Mike Short, the television executive who dreamed up the experiment in the first place.
I'm starving. Got out to it at your house. Oh, great. 3 robbers have just been caught. And all you can think about is food. Well, I'm hungry. Come on. Let's go to the post office.
Exactly how much help are they getting to put it on air?
The villagers set the agenda, as it were. They decide what's going to be on the show. They put up suggestions, they research some of the stories, but in fairness, they can't do it all because they have jobs, they have families, and they've been given support by students from Salford College of Technology and journalist students from Lancashire Polytechnic who give them technical and journalistic backup. That said, they've shown remarkable skill in taking to the cameras. In fact, 1 or 2 of them who've got home video cameras of their own have shot plenty of the material. One of the studio cameras is operated by a local lad, Mark Edmondson. The genesis here is here of a television station. If they had the facilities, they could probably make their own.
Are those seats vacant for a reason?
Well, it's countdown to airtime here at the Village Hall and tension is mounting. The presenters are going through last-minute script changes, the director is giving instructions, and the audience is settling into the seats. It promises to be a lively show.
30 seconds.
That's okay. 20 seconds. Run VT. Good luck, everybody. Not for me, please. I can't hear it.
Good evening and welcome once again to WDTV. Tonight,
the first item, a live debate on who should control local television, was controversial stuff for the good citizens of Waddington. It even stopped a snooker match in the local.
Who should control it?
But television doesn't always run like a smoothly oiled machine. While I sat unaware in the audience, pandemonium was reigning in the gallery.
Right, Debbie, we've got a wee problem with this VT, so I might want to go into the next item. So can we have this set up for the interview, please? Fiona! Okay, Rob. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you very much.
Well, Waddington certainly has rejected the global in favour of the local. It's curious that it takes television to bring a community closer together, as though it's an electronic substitute for chatting across the garden fence. And it'll be interesting to see if the community spirit survives when the people of Waddington are no longer under the glare of the television lights.
They're a great lot. A few of them came over to interview us, and they're really nice. I think you're all brilliant if you're watching. There are 6 half-hour programmes on the TV Village due to go out on Channel 4, which is starting on Tuesday. That's May the 15th, next Tuesday at 8 o'clock. And I should think the pubs will certainly be empty in Waddington on Tuesday nights from now on. We're going to take a break now, but in a couple of...
Take a small picturesque village in Lancashire and give them 30 television channels. For 5 weeks, the people of Waddington were subjected to the television of the future, including their very own channel.
Hello, I'm Debra Winkley, and this is Waddington Village Television.
They were about to discover that making television was not the same as watching it.
Can I ring my mum?
In parts of the village, viewing required loyalty and imagination.
Waddington is the television village, Tuesday at 8 on Channel 4.
What a cockle.
Well done, Joe, and good luck at the weekend. Now, if you're one of those people who's always moaning that there's never enough to watch on television, you should have been in the village of Waddington in Lancashire over the past few months. People there have been spoilt for choice since Granada chose it as the site for a unique experiment. 30 different channels were beamed into their homes, and what they made of it all can be seen in a new Channel 4 series starting tonight. One of those new channels, Waddington Village TV, was presented by Debra Winkley and Jonathan Brown, who's joined us in the studio. But before we talk to them, let's see what competition they were up against. Sitting down to a night's television became fraught with choices. American cable news, Italy's Rai Uno and French TV5 among the options. And of course there was still Coronation Street back on Granada. The aim of the experiment was to see just how people would react to the sudden increase in variety of programmes. But it wasn't the sport or movie channels that had people glued to their seats, but Waddington's very own community programme.
Hello, I'm Debra Winkley, and this is Waddington Village Television. Over the next 4 weeks, we plan to bring you the views and news from the village of village life.
And I'm Jonathan Brown, and along with other reporters in the team, we've been out and about searching for stories about you.
Hello, everyone. Auntie Annie and I would like to welcome you once again, won't we, Auntie
Yes,
Annie?
we would, yeah.
To the kitchen. And where should I start, Auntie Annie, do you think?
I think you should start here.
You'd like me to start
Yeah.
on there? No, I'm not going to. Right with you?
Great. Well, what sort of programmes did you make? Deborah, what sort of programmes did you get involved in?
Well, I went along to the local parish council meeting. We filmed the brownies, the cubs, children did a soap.
My brother-in-law's a local clay pigeon shooting champion, so I went up and made a programme about clay pigeon shooting, mountain rescue teams.
Any problems along the way at all?
Several problems, really. But I think the thing was we all had a laugh, and everybody after the problems went down to the pub and had a laugh and a joke about it and a few pints. But
We made mistakes.
yeah.
You mean you
was
didn't
good
when we
fun.
saw you on that. You look great. Do you have any sympathy at all for the people who make television programmes?
Definitely, it's nerve-wracking. It definitely is nerve-wracking.
What about you, Jonathan?
It's nerve-wracking. It must be nerve-wracking for you people here on programmes like this, but Waddington Village Television, we had nothing like auto cues and cameras all over the place.
Yeah, we've got it really
We just basically had
easy.
a script that we were handed 5 minutes before we went on air, and that was it. And where you go. And all the mistakes, we had an absolute laugh, didn't we?
And the
Great
programmes
fun.
went on for a long time as well, didn't they? What's
thing
the
was-
longest programme that you did?
3.5 hours. Yeah.
And
We did a telethon. We were raising funds for local charities and what have you.
And what did you think of yourselves when you saw what the results were like?
I thought we were hilarious.
It always when you were up there, it felt far worse when you were doing the programme, and afterwards when you watched it back, you thought, it wasn't that bad. Wasn't that bad, really.
Well, you got very good reaction, didn't you?
97% viewing rate.
We are the most popular TV station in the world, actually, not the country, in the world. We're the most popular.
Wonderful. You'll have to let us in on the
watching.
secret. And you also got a fan letter from quite a long way away, didn't you?
Yes, Oregon in America.
So how did that come about?
I The letter was just addressed Debra Winkley, WDTV, Waddington Village, Lancashire. And he just wrote to tell me I've been seen halfway around the world,
Yeah, what
which is
happened
very nice.
one night we had both the village TV cameras, which were sort of video cameras. Anybody can use the video cameras, even the village people could use them. But we also had ABC from America, yourselves, Granada. We had BBC. We had CNN from America. We had 6 cameras actually
And
filming
Channel
us,
4.
and Channel 4 as well. So
Well, you're obviously such experts at all this that I'm going to sit back now and let you take over. So how about doing the next link, Deborah?
Well, thank you very much, Lucy. Now
Goes on, one community in Lancashire was given the chance to voice its opinion in an extraordinary experiment. This is the story of Waddington, the television village.
Hello, I'm Alan Bailey, the vicar of Waddington in the Ribble Valley. Waddington is the television village.
The Lancashire village of Waddington has just been home to a unique television experiment. The village watched television, made television, and in this series has now become television. In springtime, Waddington had a special guest of honour, the Home Secretary, the man responsible for broadcasting in Britain. David Waddington not only shares his name with the village, but is also their local MP. Waddington came to Waddington to launch the television village.
How much equipment is there in each camera? This is what I'd like to see.
we wouldn't mind knowing how much it's all worth. It must have cost them a fortune.
Yeah,
We've got satellite dishes and
It's a fascinating experiment. I mean, I've read a little about it in the local papers, but actually I don't know very much, so I'm dying to see it. Right, where do we go?
The village was set to receive 29 channels, its own TV station, and the latest technology in television systems. Waddington was in a good mood for the ceremonial switch-on, and both Waddingtons rose to the occasion.
I really need my specs on, but I'm just going to take a chance. Right, the great moment is arriving. The switch on. Anything happen? Good? Hooray!
Through satellite and cable, 32 families were now tuned into a best guess of the future of television in Britain. With just 4 channels after 40 years, Waddington and Britain now face the prospect of 40 channels in 4 years.
I'm going to take a chance.
Here, we've had the day in the life of the vicar. So while that's on, James will come in and sit down here. Yeah, James will come in, sit down here. Camera will be on, Jonathan, he'll say that, and then silence will be off, James will be on.
In the children's Sunday school, there was more television. Waddington Village Television.
do we have any specific running time, or can we just let it go on as long as we need? Just let it run. Yeah.
The community had soon come up with volunteers to try out the new channel. First attempts at programme style, however, relied heavily on the television of the past, rather than looking to the future.
Should you not be standing behind the camera? If I look at him and then look at the camera. Hello, I'm Debra Winkley, and this is Waddington Village Television. Over the next 4 weeks, we'll be bringing you the views... Oh, shit.
Carry on, David. Just carry on.
Over the next 4 weeks, we plan to bring you the views and news from the village of Village Life.
And I'm Jonathan Brown, and along with other reporters in the team, we've been out and about searching for stories about you.
We've plenty in store for you tonight. We've got cookery and keep fit, and we've even got an interview with Alan Bailey.
Okay, let's imagine that was real.
The real world of television had arrived in Waddington. The village channel transmitter was under the control of the Independent Broadcasting Authority, the IBA.
Obviously, everything that goes out on the village channel has to satisfy the requirements of the Broadcasting Act, and indeed the IBA's own guidelines. And I brought along a few copies for programme makers to have a look at. It's pretty comprehensive, and I imagine there are some areas in there that hopefully you needn't concern yourselves too much about. Taste and decency, for instance. There's certain requirements there, but...
We haven't, as far as we know, nothing is untasteful.
We're
or
mostly involved in making the TV programmes, you know, so we've been involved in the presenting, and there's a lot of children involved in everything. I mean, you know, what can we put on that's indecent?
I trust you, lad.
Just in case you've been away, Granada Television have set up an experiment in the village. Briefly...
We're on VT.
What are you saying?
Carry on, just ignore me. Just carry on, Deb.
Will you be saying that tomorrow?
No, I won't. I'm just trying to get this in.
I spoke earlier about the viewing figures, you know, sort of how will our programme compare against Coronation Street and things like that. Basically, are we competing against Coronation Street? It's a village TV channel, there's 1,000 people watching it.
You compete against 24, 25, 29 other channels for the period of this experiment, one assumes, because there'll be people who'll take non-stop sport and prefer that.
We have to hope, though, that the villagers will give us some favouritism and lessen the competitive edge.
Value interest, isn't it?
I think it's a really good exercise for the Granada people to see just how much that local television will influence the people of the community, and how are they going to switch onto it? They may do it for curiosity for a week, and if the content of the programmes are good, they will probably do it for the duration of the whole exercise.
I think for a month that they'll all be interested. All the mums, the dads, the grandmas, the aunties, they're all going to want to see their relatives on the television. So they're all going to watch thinking, is it tonight that Julie will be on? It was the village channel which invited Mr. Waddington as our local MP to come to see the project. And this is where he came first, into the Sunday school hall and onto the stage where we have our temporary studio. He was interviewed by Peter Hargreaves, Julie Murphy, Simon...
The combination of children and MPs was irresistible, it seemed, to programme makers, to politicians and villagers alike.
One thing's absolutely certain. We are not putting a bill through Parliament at the present time just to change the structure of television in this country for the sake of it. We're putting a bill through Parliament because new technical changes have allowed a great increase in the number of channels available and a great increase in choice for the public, and we've therefore got to establish a reasonable legal framework to accommodate this greatly increased public choice.
Well, it's all here now. The biggest thing to happen to Waddington since the end of the last war. Bigger than the new church bells. It's turned our old village into a space-age event. Even as I speak, signals are being bounced back from satellite miles into space, into the dishes on top of the tower in the Hayabut car park. Then along cables into our homes.
It's a lot neater than I thought it was.
Not a lot to mess.
Lot neater.
Press cable, and it's still, and it isn't working. Christmas work.
What are you doing now?
That's 20.
Oh, it's a naught one. Well, naught 1, 2, 3.
Oh, good gracious.
Lots of ball fighting now.
Dear. And is this coming from Spain?
Yeah, now we've seen the news. We're on news at the moment.
We do make more mistakes.
If my Nana come back into life now, she'd think the Sputniks had landed.
Yeah, but...
What she would? Nicola, we'll have a dish next year.
It'll be inside the house.
Yeah, but I bet you have one.
Oh, man.
See?
Maybe it's something we take for granted now. Remember how good those pictures were from South Africa when Nelson Mandela was released? Well, when he went to prison, we'd not even managed to send good TV pictures across the English Channel. Now, how many channels have you got? And how many rivers and seas have they crossed to get into the living room? But it's not all space age and international. New technology means we can operate our own TV channel too. The machinery may be complex in theory, but it's not hard to use in practice.
Well, yes, really, so that you've had an opportunity to run through it. But there will be, I mean, you know, we will obviously be doing a complete technical run through. I just don't want to keep dragging you down here from up there. So,
I'm anxious to go and get my tea.
Right, and now we've got the short eyes. Yeah?
Okay.
Yeah.
If you do get anything wrong, please try to correct it as soon as you can. Bear in mind people's rights to privacy. It's probably safer to make sure that, you know, you've obtained everyone's consent as far as what we wouldn't really want to get into the Broadcasting Complaints Commission area with this kind of thing.
Hiya. Thanks for coming. Just got to go into a voiceover now. 15 minutes it's going to take. We're not going to get a chance for a run through 5 minutes voiceover.
To help the villagers deal with the technical, editorial and even political complexities of running a village channel, lecturers, students and a consultant were drafted in.
Right. It was the village station.
Yeah.
Sounds like a train station.
I think one of the important things in this is the fact that whatever we've filmed, the villagers have all got to live here. When the television people have gone home, they all go, they all finish, bye-bye, they've had a television programme out of it. We've got to live here. Nobody wants to fall out about anything. We don't want any political items on whatsoever.
I'm feeling rather gagged by this concept. For example, you have asked me to produce a thought for the day, hopefully. Well, I might want to say something about the poll tax or budget day.
That's fine.
And that's a personal thing. But
that's a personal thing.
I certainly don't feel that I want to take on all the arguments in a minute statement. I might want to say something. So I hope I'm not being gagged.
I think we get it, if we got it right. I think the vicar would speak maybe for the community rather than speaking politically.
Very kind of you.
It's just a rehearsal. Come on.
What meeting we were in there?
You can sit here.
Yeah.
Right, when you get a cue, Alan, can you just say a few words, please?
Alan Bailey, the former vicar of Liverpool Toxteth and a newcomer to the village, was quick to see the potential of community television.
And now we've got Alan Bailey here with us in the studio, and he's going to give us his thought for the day.
Thank you very much. Well, my first thoughts are, I've been thinking of them all day, actually, and they're all about television. Will that do you?
The invasion of Waddington had begun months before. Television travels in mysterious ways, through space, through air, and in Waddington's case, through water. The village stood back, watched, and then gathered to reflect.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me great pleasure tonight to welcome you all to this unique occasion. From day one back in April, a new adventure began to unfold in this village. And I think we all agree that this venture is history in the making. As you are probably aware by now, the background work has been done by the Granada team and their associates. It's really been mind-boggling. You've seen them dashing about here, there and everywhere, and probably you wonder what they've been doing, but the culmination of it is where we are tonight and what we're about to do in the next few weeks.
These Lancashire people were about to get pictures not just from satellite and cable, but by a prototype microwave system, which may become cable's local rival. The villagers were going to see their pictures on exotic sets with strange-shaped screens. For connoisseurs, there were village pictures in the new viewing experience of high-definition TV. The machinery of television seemed at times to be almost overshadowing Waddington. But in the end, all the technology brought was programmes, and programmes bring regulation.
What sort of safeguards do you think are likely to be in place to control the type of material that's going to be available on the channels?
Well, at the end of this year, the IBA, as you probably know, is disbanded and replaced by 3 successor bodies. There'll be Independent Television Commission, a radio authority, and a new privatised engineering company. So the ITC actually will be responsible for all UK broadcast television. What the government actually has got a little dilemma about is how it can handle some of the things that might come in from other European countries. But as far as UK television is concerned, we feel confident that the safeguards will be there.
As well as 29 channels, the prospect of nightly village television and an ever-present documentary crew, the villagers had yet more to deal with. Concealed cameras in their living rooms, watching them watching television.
Is it black and white?
Looks like it.
Oh my giddy godfathers beyond. You have to pay all that extra money that put in black and white pictures on.
Yeah, but it's for the goodies, I think. That
Robert Clark.
Television is for people, and I think that is really what this experiment is about. Will you, having watched all the 25 channels, turn back with relief to Coronation Street and say, we don't really need or will you become 3-minute zappers, as the Americans say? There are so many channels, and you'll have your zapper, you'll say, and you'll always be wanting to know what's going on some other channel, so you'll never really watch any program more than about 2.5 minutes.
Another one, another half of stars.
Do you notice that the vicar's buying?
What's that?
The vicar's willing.
Okay, everybody. Cheers. Let's hope it goes well.
Good luck.
Cheers.
I hope these people in here can't go.
Came along, started all off, and our cameras went along. Is that what it says? Shit on the wrong page. And we sent our cameras along.
Looking pretty.
Sorry, on his face.
Set it off recording.
Yeah, well, we'll start recording, yeah. Play, record together.
Record and what?
Together. Play and record together.
I haven't touched that. Never touched it.
I'm Debra Winkley, and this is Waddington Village TV. Over the next 4 weeks, we'll be bringing you news and views about village life.
And I'm Jonathan Brown, and along with other members of the reporting team, we've been out and about looking for stories about you.
We've lots in store tonight, including Keep Fit, cookery, and a thought for the day. Now then, Granada Television have invaded our village and installed 32 satellite channels. David Waddington, the Home Secretary, came along to start it all off, and we sent our cameras along too.
Okay, 17 minutes on BT.
Marvellous.
In the Sunday school, the village channel smelled success.
Brilliant. Thanks a lot.
However, they were about to discover that making television was not the same as watching it.
Can I ring my mum?
He's going off during cookery so that the cameras aren't on the studio.
Yeah, he goes off during cookery.
So I can get up there.
Yeah.
Doing that. Yeah.
Right, does anybody know how long we've got left on video?
Yeah, 8 minutes.
8 minutes left.
If anything happens, i.e. the video goes down, will you shout, it's gone down?
Yeah, and we'll cut to you.
Yeah.
She's braver than I am. Could you have done it? Yeah, she didn't bother, did she?
Reports were coming in, mainly from Debbie's mum, that reception was giving problems.
I do apologise about this, but apparently we have a few technical problems at the moment.
It's a bit dark on his face,
You
isn't
are
it?
tuned into Channel 5 and you have actually a cable TV installed. If you turn to Channel 7 on cable TV, only if you have a cable TV installed, then I think you'll find the reception is much better.
Now then, Granada TV are responsible for all this, and we've been to the command centre, which is behind the higher buck, and to their launch party as well, to find out what it's all about.
Well, it's all here now. The biggest thing to happen to Waddington since the end of the last war. Bigger than the New
In parts of the village, viewing required loyalty and imagination.
Which is on Winter Hill. Just like to watch the program.
Watch the Jonathan. Oh, this is a pity, isn't it, this? It's doing this.
The technical problem facing us is to put a transmitter in between so your aerials are looking at it. If you think about it,
Got to get down to 7 and
How's you doing?
Just a bit of bounce, yeah. Please
transmitter. So we put it in line.
Can't do the pub, to be honest. I think what we do is all sit down, apologise for the technical things and say we repeat the whole exercise tomorrow night, our apologies. All right?
Well, no,
So everyone sit in.
Working, why can't we go in and we can go through the rest of the item?
No, pull it out and say goodnight.
Okay, well,
Okay,
yes, your choice.
Apologise for all the sort of...
Yeah. Right, okay, stand by, 5 seconds. Which camera? 3, 2, fly.
We are very sorry, we have received a few technical problems along the line. Perhaps the satellite's not far enough up tonight. But I'd like to introduce my fellow interviewers tonight. There's Michelle Hornby.
Good evening.
And James Warburton. Hello. As I say, we do apologise about all the technical hitches. I'm sure you'll enjoy the programme throughout the next few weeks. Just give us a chance, we'll do it.
We'll be back tomorrow.
Bye.
Good night.
Night. What a cock-up.
One.
It's not good enough.
Okay, we're clear.
Right, Carl, I got some champagne.
Shit. I don't believe
Okay, well,
that.
listen, look, it's not our problem. Everything going out from here was fine. It was really good. So well done, everybody. It was great.
Yeah, well done.
Everyone was really disappointed. We needed a full technical run through, didn't we?
Thank you. Whether that comes off or not, I don't know.
Any decision is the right decision. No one else is making one, so it seemed to be a decision. I mean, there was some hindsight argument that perhaps we could have sat Alan Bailey in and chatted it all the way through. But as I wasn't getting a particularly positive response from anybody about what the problem might be and how it could be addressed and how it could be solved, then the alternative was to carry on for a further 10 minutes and possibly 20 or 30 and just make it look silly for the people who were presenting it. And that actually, I would think that, as it's not a matter of life or death, it is in a way, but it's not entirely a matter of life or death. I thought it wasn't too bad. I thought, play it against Sam tonight.
Good evening, I'm Debra Winkley and this is your village station. For those of you who tuned in last night, you'll have realised that we had quite a few technical problems.
And I'm Jonathan Brown, and both Debbie and I have our fingers crossed tonight that everything will be alright on the night tonight.
And to find out if it will be alright on the night, there'll be another visit to the Television Village at the same time next Tuesday, 8 o'clock. Welcome to Open Air, and you've been getting angry already, or rather James Stewart from Scarborough has. He rang in about Sports Night. As usual, he says Barry Davis was shouting his head off, telling us what we could see. Then Trevor Brooking was summing up, and lo and behold, when they went back to the studio, there was Jimmy Hill summing up. What is the matter with the BBC? Have they got too much money? They don't need all these people. John Motson's the worst. He shouts all the time. Sorry about that, James. I shall say this very calmly. There's lots of stuff in the papers today, actually, about Jim Davidson. Apparently, there are rumours abound that his show is going to be dropped on account of how it's offending people because of its racist and sexist gags. So, what do you think about that? We don't actually know whether it's true or not, because you can't believe everything you read in the papers these days. So, we're going to check it out and let you know. Now, did you see the Television Village on Channel 4 last night? This morning, we're going to be talking to some villagers from Waddington in Lancashire, whose lives were, as you probably know, turned upside down by the arrival of TV cameras and satellite dishes for the programme, and all will be revealed later. But first, let's find out what you've been calling in about so far this morning on the first open line of the day.
I'm phoning with regard to the 6 o'clock news covering the funeral of Cardinal O'Fee, the leader of the Irish community. Instead of a religious funeral, I saw political statements. I saw an insult to my nation and to my church.
I've just seen the programme Check Out on Channel 4, and I think it's an excellent replacement for the For What It's Worth programme. Although I do feel that the item on used condoms on beaches should not be suitable to be repeated on Saturday mornings.
I just watched the BBC children's television programme Expo. I'm absolutely amazed at the open racism in that programme, the blatant stereotyping of all Africans as savages who needed civilising by white Western culture. To put this programme on at this time of the day, I think is unforgivable.
OK, those are some of your opinions flooding in so far this morning. Now, last night, Channel 4 showed the first in a 6-part series called The Television Village. As part of an experiment, the 1,000 villagers of Waddington in Lancashire could, for 5 weeks, tune into 30 TV channels, including satellite, cable, and the smallest of all, Waddington TV, a local channel run with the help of the local villagers. Well, we took our cameras there last month to take a look behind the scenes and find out just how things were going in the run-up.
Waddington for a variety of reasons, not least of which because it has a river running down the middle of the village down which we could lay the cable, which then peels off to the 33 homes that are connected to the 29-channel system. It was an ideal place for the UHF transmitter, which delivers the local village channel in a kind of pear drop shape over the village. Chose it also because we wanted a community that would react openly and honestly to the television they saw, and once we'd chosen it we had to look for a base, and the only place that seemed appropriate was this defunct restaurant called Vladimir's. We have taken the odd order for lunch, which has complicated matters, but apart from that, what we did was set up a production base where we could be here more or less all the time, because obviously, for example, most of the people watch television at night, so we've done a lot of night filming, and we needed an operational base where we could take calls from people as well, because we've established a relationship now where they will call us, either with problems or to tell us things that are happening to them.
Dealers are expecting a hectic day of trading. Right now we have the greenback up a quarter yen against the Japanese currency at 152.95 yen. The dollar's gained to...
This is the Granada Command Centre, and on these 10 monitors here, we have 10 of the satellite channels incoming to this vehicle, and we play them out on 25 channels of cable. And on this monitor here, you can see all 25 channels of cable. By just selecting through them, you can see what we've got. What happens to those animals which become so... And over there we have a computer that can actually monitor what people are watching all through the day. And in fact, we can actually talk to them via a microphone and ask them questions on the system.
I can get you, are we closing in for this? Let's do some close-up for this. Let's close them in, and I can get you. Can you just do that? Can you just do that? Oh, that's better.
The Village Channel has been showing ads to raise money for the local hall and for the village, and they've made about 3 or 4 so far. They're running out of them. They've been offered some money by this firm here in Clitheroe, so they're here doing this at the moment. Debbie's one of the presenters, and she's looking after it. And the people working the cameras are students who've been helping. This afternoon they'll edit it, and it'll probably be on the air tonight.
Why not let us operate on you at our new premises, Hall Street, Clitheroe. Telephone 26929.
One of the hard things, I think, in a program like this is to be in the right place at the right time. So we did know about this in advance, and we did arrange to come here. The danger is that when we get here, we might change it too much. I mean, to some extent, we did change it because we did it here where they were going to do it where it was dark, and we brought them into the light. So to that extent, we've altered it, but it's okay, I think.
Wake him up, come on, you're all right, you're all right.
The trouble is that by the time you've made a film and you've spent all this time here, in a funny kind of way, you probably do want to get away. But when you've been away a while, I suspect that that's when we'll all miss them. I suspect when we leave, we'll be glad to get back home and do other things. But I suspect after a while, we'll miss Waddington.
Well, Louise Nundy, who's editor of The Television Village, is with us in the studio now. Good morning to you, Louise. It was great fun to watch, I must say. What was the idea, though, behind it?
Well, in 40 years you've had 4 channels, and in the next 10 you're going to get this explosion. There's new technology, there's financial pressures, there's political will, and so television as we know it is going to change, and we want to find out what the public reaction would be and what ordinary people made of it. So we brought it all there, gave it to them and said, what do you think?
It must have been an incredibly difficult operation to mount technically. I mean, did you have any real problems?
It was a nightmare, an absolute nightmare. We borrowed and we had made for us from all over Europe prototype technology, and when we got it to the village, this was the first time it had ever been tried out in homes, and of course most of it wouldn't go through the door, let alone up the stairs, because it's very different having something in a laboratory. But that was part of the fun. I remember one of the manufacturers actually suggested we took the walls down because we couldn't get it through the door, and we said no, you'll just have to change your machine.
Because those televisions are really enormous,
yes,
aren't they?
At the moment they are. They're not ready yet, and part of the excitement of Waddington was finding out what people made of it when we eventually did get the equipment into their sitting rooms. What did they think? And people came from all over the world to find out.
Didn't you have some problems with sheep as well?
Oh yes, the sheep tried to sabotage everything. They loved the cables. They ate them systematically.
Tell me, how did you choose the presenters? I must say they're really professional. They seem to really take it very seriously as well.
I think they were quite amazing, and they still are. We didn't choose them. They volunteered, and as is the way with all things voluntary, they were the ones who kept coming back and back to plan things, and in the end they did it. But we had people taking part in the village television from all over the village, and nobody who wanted to do something didn't have an opportunity. And of course the children also had their own show, and there were millions of presenters on that.
Now, as well as providing a programme at the end, which is great fun to watch, was there a kind of serious academic side to it? Did you actually want to find out, almost in an academic way, what sort of trends this might represent for the future in television?
Yes, I mean the interest here was to do it over a period of 6 weeks and watched how people reacted over that period, and we monitored it properly with the help of the European Institute for the Media. And so we now do have a long look at how people reacted. Obviously, first of all, it's terribly exciting, lots of zapping. But then people settle down and they start to watch different things, and that was interesting.
Is it at all representative, though, of the general viewership?
It's no more and no less representative than taking a small group anywhere. And most decisions are made by a small cabal of people in a committee. And here we had 1,000 people having a go. You know.
Well, it's terrific fun. Let's have a look now at part of last night's programme, where the Waddington TV channel had a few teething problems on the night of its launch, as you'll see, just like real television, actually.
Now then, Granada TV are responsible for all this, and we've been to the command centre, which is behind the higher buck, and to their launch party as well, to find out what it's all about.
Well, it's all here now. The biggest thing to happen to Waddington since the end of the last war. Bigger than the new...
In parts of the village, viewing required loyalty and imagination.
Which is on Winter Hill. Just like to watch the
program. Watch for Jonathan.
Oh,
this is a pity, isn't it, this? It's doing this.
To put a transmitter in between, so your areas are looking at it. If you think about it,
Got to get down to 760 to not
How do you do it?
Just a bit of bounce, yeah. Please don't.
So we put it in line.
Can't do in the pub, to be honest. I think what we do is all sit down, apologise for the technical things, and say we'll repeat the whole exercise tomorrow night. Our apologies. All right.
It really was like normal television, complete with technical cock-ups as well. Well, Roy Shepherd is in Waddington right now with some of the stars and the locals. Right.
That's right, and talking about technical cock-ups, here we go. How did you feel, Debbie, seeing yourself on telly there on the first night? Was it a bit of a disappointment, a bit of a letdown?
Initially it was a letdown. It was very disappointing because we've done all the preparation. We wanted it to go well, and the first night there were technical problems. But night 2, 3, 4, up right till the end, every other night, apart from the first night, was fine, A-OK after then.
So that's a face that you've seen. Jonathan Brown was also one of the presenters. Jonathan, did you enjoy doing the TV?
Absolutely fantastic. It really was incredible, the reaction we had in the village. Every night we went out after the programme, and everyone would come along and tell us what a good job we'd made, or were there any mistakes, and they'd all comment on exactly the things we've been talking about, and they were really pleased.
All right, now we've been joined as well by Leo and Trish Murphy, who were viewers. Now, WDTV was an experiment, it was a local TV station. What did you think about the quality of the programming?
The quality of the programming was absolutely excellent, and the presenters themselves were absolutely excellent. Unfortunately, I don't think that image came over last night when this show was put on the show for Channel 4.
Why do you think that was? In what way?
Well, I think they tended to put on, to coin the phrase that's used in television, the cock-ups. They didn't really show Jonathan and Debbie and the rest of the people in the light that they came off very professional very, very quickly after that first cock-up of the night. It was as if they showed the cock-ups before they show the good programmes, and
so
that's the reverse of what they usually do on television.
Trish, the WDTV programme, which was an hour a night, went out between 7 and 8 o'clock at the time when EastEnders was on and when Coronation Street was on, but everybody watched WDTV. Why was that?
Because we liked it. I've never ever not watched Coronation Street or EastEnders before, but I prefer to watch the Village Channel.
So weren't you just being supportive of them?
Oh no, I really enjoyed it. It brought the community together, it told you things and showed you talents that we didn't know people had, and I really enjoyed it.
So you were very happy with it. Do you miss WDTV now?
Well, we don't miss it because we have it on video, and we're still watching WDTV, and like Trish said, it knocked everything else, even the 30 channels that were available to us, we just didn't bother with until such that was used as supplementary to WDTV. That's in essence what we're saying.
All right, well, let's turn now to the presenters. I mean, there's some very good praise there. Your audience figures, what were they like, Jonathan?
One night, there were actually 32 TVs actually cabled up in the village, and they had a monitoring system in the command centre, and they discovered there were 31 TVs actually tuned in to WDTV, and the only one that wasn't tuned in was my own. I was out, of course, doing the programme.
Would you like to work in television proper now? I've got to be very careful how I put this, because it is real television. It's not cable television. I mean, you are transmitting, aren't you?
Yes, I would. I think it's very interesting, and if there was an opening, I would like to do something in the future.
Do you think you've learnt a lot from that first night that we've seen?
Definitely.
Incredibly, yeah. We really can watch TV now and be critics ourselves. We know what's going on.
Great talking to all of you. Thank you very much indeed. We'll be back later on. Back now to the studio.
And I predict those two will be snapped up very soon and will be appearing on so-called proper television. And we're going to be talking, and you can talk to the people of Waddington again in part 2 of Open Air, when we'll be finding out what they think of satellite television. And we're also going to be joined by, amongst others, Nina Miskoff, who's hosting
at 10 to 12. So let's take a look at just what they have on offer.
Sky Television, the television revolution. 4 channels of entertainment, news, movies, sport. Sky Television, already seen by over 4 million people. People who have the best entertainment available. More channels, more choice. That's why we're the one.
Hello, welcome to the show.
Hello, the moment for which you have been waiting has now arrived.
A report out tomorrow will show a record number of complaints against the police.
I don't want to live up there. I certainly don't.
Really?
No, not at all. Heavens no. I mean, I go north of Hampstead and I get panic attacks.
Well, joining us now are Chris Davis from Sky Television, Chris McLaughlin from BSB, and live from her BSB studio, not having a panic attack, I hope, Nina Miskoff. We'll be coming back to Nina in a moment or two, but for the purposes of the next few minutes here in Manchester, we have 2 Chris's with us. If I can, to avoid confusion, call you Chris Sky and Chris BSB. If we start with Chris Sky, I think many people still don't actually understand the technology of what's on offer. Sky has 4 channels and 1 subscription channel, but if you buy your equipment you can actually pick up 16 services, is that right?
Yes, it's a very, very simple proposition. With a Sky dish you can receive the 4 channels on the Sky television network, one of which, the movie channel, is a subscription channel. And with your Sky dish you also have access to 12 other channels, including the children's channel, an additional sports channel, MTV the music channel, a lifestyle channel, and 8 foreign language services.
And this is because Sky shares the satellite with some other people, is that?
That's right. We rent part of the satellite called Astra 1. Astra 2 is going up at the end of this year, and people who have a Sky dish will have access to a further 16 channels, giving them 32 channels in all.
So how much does the gear cost then? If I want a dish and the receiving thing on the top of the set, how much is that going to cost me to rent, say?
We offer a unique deal. For £23.50 a month, you will get...
So that's about £6 a week then?
Just under £6 a week.
All right, let's go to Chris BSB now. Now, what do we get from you?
Well, because BSB is the United Kingdom satellite broadcaster, regulated by the IBA. There are 5 frequencies available for BSB, which offer sport, movies, entertainment, the arts and lifestyle. Those channels are all targeted entirely to a British audience, rather than a pan-European reach.
So how much do you charge them for a rental package?
Well, difficult to say rental. We are not in the business of going direct like Sky. We
But
you
can rent the equipment.
Yes, indeed. Granada, for example, would charge you £12.99 a month for the rental of BSB equipment, including installation, with a further charge for our movie channel of around £10 a month.
So it does look as though it's working out more expensive to get 5 channels, whereas Sky are offering a lot more choice for their amount of money.
Well, I think you must compare the services available, the quality of the programming, the style of the programming. We consider that we're a very British broadcaster. Many of our programmers' roots go back to the BBC and to ITV companies. They're building on experience that they've had over many years in the broadcasting environment.
All right, let's go to BSB in London. Nina Mishkov, you're obviously convinced that satellite TV has a future, as you have joined BSB. What is it that you feel gives it the edge over the terrestrial services?
Well, I think the fact that it's not cosy, safe, predictable, the same old boring nonsense that you actually have to put up with. If you actually watch, if you went to Mars and came down 10 years later, we'd still be watching Mastermind and That's Life on a Sunday night. Everything's very predictable, cosy and safe, and the ITV channels are looking towards their franchises, so nobody's doing anything exciting there. And I think with BSB we can actually make new programmes and actually concentrate on quality at the same time and have a lot of fun with it. I mean, it is fun after all. I'm sitting here on my little desk that I have for my show with my champagne and my caviar. I mean, I don't think you have that at the BBC.
So your show isn't going to be cosy and safe then? What is it about?
My show is called Nina versus the Rest, and it's a combination of debate and chat in that I pick various topics that I get upset or angry about or care strongly about, like, for instance, boxing, which I think is legalised violence and should be banned as a sport, or, say, snobbery or money. And then a panel of 6 is picked, and I debate against them for 45 minutes with no help from anybody else.
We'll come back to you later on in the programme. Chris, Sky, a sizable proportion, though, of programming is doubled up. I mean, we've got sport and movies on both of the systems. It's not really a question, then, of having more choice. It's just more of the same thing.
No, I think it's certainly not more of the same thing. It is more choice. There are similar kinds of programmes. We show different sporting events to BSB. We show different sporting events to the BBC and the ITV. For example, we've just shown the England Test Tour of the West Indies exclusively on Sky Television. We'll be showing the England Tour of Australia exclusively on Sky Television. It's not the same as BSB at all.
Chris Sky and Chris BSB and Nina Mishkov for the time being, thank you very much. Well, let's now go from the people who are making satellite TV to Roy Shepherd, who's with some of its viewers.
The viewers will be seeing a lot more of satellite television. The television experiment here in the picturesque village of Waddington has had some surprising results. Of the 30 channels to choose from, it's been the local TV station that's most popular, with high audience figures. So instead of more national or pan-European satellite stations, have the broadcasters got it all wrong? Well, here we are in Waddington. This is Waddington on the map. We're just outside Clitheroe, which in 1966 was voted the best village in Yorkshire and has subsequently been voted the best village in Lancashire 4 or 5 times because it's been changed. All the boundaries were changed. So Waddington is pretty used to changes in all its guises. And we've been hearing people from satellite and Sky and BSB. You're the people who've been watching it. Does what they say actually bear up with the truth? Has there been more choice? You've had 30 channels to choose from.
I personally think that they're all offering the same sort of entertainment. You've just got more sport, more quiz shows, films. I did enjoy the films, but the problem was that you've probably seen them on video, because most people have video.
I think one thing I'd like to say about the sport, a lot of the sort of sporting events I've seen on sort of satellite TV and the cable TV we've had installed here, a lot of the programmes we've seen are sport that I've never seen on TV before, and as regards the sport itself benefiting out of seeing different types of sports on TV, that's got to benefit the sport, i.e. for sponsorship and for generally us people to watch. I like seeing different sports. I think the sport's great.
Leo, what do you think about satellite TV? You've been watching a lot of it in the last few months.
We've watched a considerable amount of satellite TV. I'm just a little bit amazed at Nina Mishkov's comments that they're doing something quite new. I think we've got equally as much and challenging programmes on ITV, BBC, as they're putting out in any of the Sky or BSB or any of the satellite programmes anywhere. We have not seen any improvement in satellite quality or programmes or anything whatsoever. We tended to move away and use satellite TV as an escape when we finished looking at the local television.
Now, this is something that has surprised me, the outcome of this, that the local station has been so popular. Do you think the broadcasters have got it wrong? They're going for pan-European now. Do you think they should be looking to closer areas rather than wider ones?
I'm quite certain that BSB and Sky TV should really be looking at what the local TV has done and the amount of interest that's been generated and shown by the people living in Waddington. They have said in a very loud and clear voice that 99% of the time they was watching local television, and that's nothing to do with the fact that it were local people doing it. It was because it was interesting, it was good quality, and it involved the happenings surrounding the local area.
Okay, very briefly, Trish, did you find that it has changed the whole viewing habits of the family now?
Oh, it has, just we turned into a house of zappers. We couldn't, you know, there was no relaxation in watching television.
The remote control, you mean?
Yes, you know, they call it zappers, you're zapping from one station to the other, not watching anything in particular.
So you're not necessarily then saying what the people at Sky and BSB really want to hear.
I think I'd like to say one important thing about the local channel. We actually were involved in making the local channel and presenting it, and as regards quality, technically our station was probably one of the worst technical quality programs you've ever seen. But nobody worried about that. They really were not interested in the mistakes, in the broadcast quality or anything. They just thought it was fantastic because of the items we had on.
John, what do the people in Manchester and London think?
Well, I think that's very interesting, because quality is one of the things that has come up constantly throughout the debate about whether the increase in the number of channels that are going to be available is going to improve or decrease the quality. What do you feel about that, Chris?
Well, quality is a very hard word to define, John. One man's quality television could be another man's trash television, and vice versa. Certainly on Sky in the last 14 months, we have presented some high-quality programs, such as the opera Carmen, live from Earl's Court. We presented the Oscar ceremony live from Los Angeles. This is all quality television. This is all television that people in Waddington will not have seen before unless they had a Sky dish.
But as I say, they seem to be saying the quality doesn't actually matter that much.
Well, I think they were referring to the quality of their community television, which is slightly different. Yes. There's a great novelty value of watching your friends and your neighbours appearing on television and having a good time. I admire very much what they've done in Waddington.
You can just ask Chris, BSB. This is something very important, actually, the local aspect of it. This is one thing that satellite television can't do, whereas terrestrial services can.
I think it's one of the most interesting things of the Waddington experiment is that as people in Waddington were drawn into the television environment, they became an enthusiast for their own channel. And it's hardly surprising that they would back to the hilt their colleagues and friends that were actually watching and performing in Waddington. Sustainability would be the question mark for local television. I'm sure you realise that with a small area to draw stories from, you're limiting the amount of stories you can actually get through. BBC is drawing on an enormous network of news gatherers to give a national picture.
Something else that seemed to come out from that conversation there in Waddington, Nina Mishkov, is that there isn't anything new. Yeah, I thought you were saying your programme is.
No. You see, I mean, BSB's only been available for a relatively short space of time, and I'm sure they're talking about Sky. Sky actually hasn't made a lot of new programmes. You can't fling in the Oscar ceremony and one opera and say that's new programming. BSB is actually making a lot of different shows, and there is a lot of variety and a lot of choice and a lot of fun.
But we've seen Robin Day on the BBC, and he's on BSB.
Well, he's not on the BBC anymore, is he?
No, but he's on BSB doing a very similar sort of programme.
And would you a very similar sort of programme? But would you say that Question Time is the better for having a different presenter or not? Do you not miss Sir Robin Day?
Yes, I suppose I do.
Yes, exactly. So now you can get him on BSB. Do you not miss Selena Scott on BBC? So now you can get her on BSB. And actually that flash of Sky going past with Derek Jameson with his mouth open must be the biggest anti-advertisement anyone's ever had for Sky. Seriously.
Let's go back to Waddington and see how they react to what you've been saying.
There's people here jumping up here. Actually, Leo, I mean, hearing them say about the quality of BSB or Sky, I mean, how do you feel about it, the quality of television programmes?
Well, I'm absolutely flabbergasted that they're passing these sort of comments. They obviously weren't listening to what I said on the last occasion. We have viewed, and can I make an example? Previous to having the facilities of 30 channels in our house, we had very seriously contemplated either getting Sky or BSB. Since we've had the cable television in, and we've had the opportunity to look at all these programmes, no way will we be dashing out to purchase one of these in the very foreseeable future. I think in the long term, when we've looked and found something that's an improvement on it, but up to date, we have not found anything that links in any way, shape or form BBC 1, 2, ITV and Channel 4.
Well, right, somebody who actually feels disillusioned as well is Shirley Raybould from Cannock in Staffordshire. Shirley, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
You've had Sky for quite a while now, I understand.
Yes, we have. We've had it for about 9 or 10 months.
And what do you think?
Well, we've gradually become more and more disappointed with it. It certainly hasn't lived up to expectations. We originally had satellite because we felt there was too much sport and too many repeats on ordinary TV. And we've got exactly the same with Sky. There's far too much sport being shown on Sky One, which is supposed to be a general entertainment channel. And I don't think that 7 hours of Test cricket day after day after day is general entertainment.
All right, let's put that to Chris then.
It's all a matter of taste. We had the guy in Waddington who said he was delighted with the sport. He couldn't get enough of our sport. Obviously, some programmes appeal to some people. They don't appeal to others. That's the whole point about satellite television. You get a very, very wide choice. You will find on one channel something that appeals to you.
So ultimately, people are just going to spend the time in front of the telly going, trying to find something that they want to watch.
Well, not if they're sensible. They'll plan their viewing a little bit more carefully. When you first get satellite television, it's a great novelty, and there's a great temptation to keep zapping between the channels. After 3 or 4 weeks, you start to get the hang of it, the novelty wears off, and you learn to plan your viewing. You suit your viewing to your lifestyle with satellite television. You don't suit your lifestyle to what you're going to view.
We've got another call. Good morning, Joanne Ballinghall from Kirkcaldy in Scotland. Good morning.
Good morning, John.
What's your comment?
We actually have Sky as well. Excuse me. We got it on a fortnight's free trial and decided to keep it because we were most impressed with it. It offers more variety, better quality programmes, and I personally find it most educational. Whereas on looking at the magazines which are advertising BSB programmes, it seems to be concentrating on programmes, although they were very, very good in their day, 15, 20 years ago, such as Till Death Do Us Part, Steptoe & Son, Bewitched. I find them now a bit dated, and I don't consider them now entertainment. Why have BSB gone this way?
Chris?
Well, I think a prime example with Steptoe is the BBC are actually rerunning Steptoe at the moment. The BBC archive has a great deal of material which is very, very popular and regularly pulls in 8 to 10 million viewers on national terrestrial television. What BSB has done is to invest an enormous sum of money in producing new programmes and new drama here in the United Kingdom, trying out new things for the first time. As part of that deal, we were able for the first time to unlock the BBC library and draw on some of the old favourites. We consider that all we're doing is giving more opportunity for more enthusiastic viewing.
All right, let's go back out to Waddington. Roy.
Right, well, I mean, you've been hearing what's being said. I mean, the pros and cons between Sky and BSB. Is there that much difference between the two?
I found the BSB Sports Channel to be far more English and British. I enjoyed the sport on there. There wasn't as much American stuff on. Sky had an awful lot of American sport on. I enjoyed some of it I didn't. Obviously, if I didn't enjoy it, I switched it off. But one thing I would like to point out is the fact that at the moment you have regional television. Where in East Lancashire, we have the same regional programme that is broadcast at Carlisle and also all the way down to Warrington and Chester. Really, I'm not interested in what happens in Carlisle if there's been a fire at the local TV station or whatever. But if there's been one locally, 10 miles away in the city of Blackburn or something like that, then I'm interested. And I think that's an interesting point to make.
Yeah. I mean, Trish, do you find that family viewing has actually changed? I mean, has this more choice actually created more problems, feuds in the family?
It does in my case, yes. I mean, Julie likes the music channel. First thing she does when she gets up in the morning is put the music channel on. It's a novelty at the start. Maybe later on, if we had one in all the time, then we would have to lay Lois down and she wouldn't be allowed to do that first thing in the morning. But I couldn't relax the same. I couldn't come home from work and think, right, I'm going to watch such and such a programme, because we're continually looking for something better, weren't we?
Well, you're the ones that have actually seen it. Thank you for the time being. It's back now to John.
Yes, and thank you to our guests in here, Chris Sky and Chris BSB and Nina Mishkov. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And Roy.
Well, now it's time for our slot, A Day in the Life. Now, we normally talk to celebrities, but today we're not going to do that. We're going to talk about a satellite television station, not Sky or BSB, but Waddington Village Television, which was a station that was set up as part of the Channel 4 series, The Television Village. Now, for 2 months, it has been having an enormous success story, with 97% of people actually tuning in for its hourly nightly news programme.
My name's Kate Williams. I'm from Lancashire Polytechnic. Together with students from Salford College of Technology, we're helping to produce the Village Channel. So I'm doing a journalism postgrad course, and we're doing the research and production side of it, writing the scripts. And today I'm actually the programme producer. and the students from Salford are doing the technical side. They're doing the filming, the sound and the editing, and filming the studio as it goes out, doing the evening show.
Sound of the day of the Lord.
As programme producer today, I'm responsible for getting all the scripts ready. I'm actually writing part of the scripts at the moment. Some of my colleagues from Lancashire Poly are out filming at the moment, or going out later filming. We've got people upstairs already editing, and when the presenters come in at 6, we'll brief them ready for the show, which goes out at 7. So it's quite a busy time.
Hello, we're from Waddington TV. What have you been watching?
No, thank you.
No, not at all? No.
The main difficulty of doing box pops is that there aren't that many people about in the village, so you have to go and knock on doors, and then when you finally do get one person in every 5 doors, they say, oh no, you can't do this. But then again, people are getting used to us now. They're getting more and more at ease with the cameras, and now they wave at you every time they see you, and you don't walk past the butchers without waving. If you've got a camera in your hand, you ought to be in there. They're really good about it now.
Hello, you bought me nicely. Am I agreeing? No, we'll stop here.
You stop here?
Yeah. Have you been watching Waddington TV?
Of course I have, and I've appeared on it.
The local people and villagers play an enormous part in the making of the Village Channel. We produce all their ideas. We have villagers presenting the evening show as it goes out. They come to us with ideas and we turn them into videos and make part of the show. We can't make anything if we don't get their ideas. So for example, we had the local children interviewing the village policeman about skateboarding, ideas like that, which we filmed for them. So far I've been talking to the various groups and they're all discussing what sort of programmes they would put on between 4 o'clock and 10 o'clock. And I found that really they've not moved away from what is already offered to them by BBC and Granada, or the independent companies. And that scheduling they don't really appear to get away from. And I'm also finding they want a lot more music, a lot more sort of light entertainment. In terms of our filming it, we're having a few sort of technical problems with it. It's so much light in here, and there's background noise, and the children are quite quiet when I talk to them. But it seems to be going okay.
If you could go through the whole thing. Did you want a copy of that? You want me to go through the whole thing? Okay.
News is what's relevant to the person watching it, and people have tuned in to see what's happening here, what the neighbours are doing, what kind of neighbours they've got. I mean, it's amazing how little people know about each other. Neighbours tends to be somebody in Ramsey Street on the other side of the world who doesn't really exist anyway, for most of us. Here we've been able to bring neighbours closer together through television, simply because we're operating on a small scale. And there's an enormous interest in news that is relevant to you. I mean, the big international stories are relevant, and so are the very local ones. And the very local stories obviously have an appeal because people have tuned in to listen to them.
Precious column inches to our TV. This last week, Granada held a press conference to give national publicity to what they're doing to our village.
Right, we're just arriving now. We're some of the presenters on tonight's programme. It's about an hour before we go on air.
It is, yes, and we've got a production meeting any time now, so I think we better dash on and get in there, get the script sorted out.
Yeah. We've got the 3 new ones.
There's 3 new ones.
Do you want the ins and outs?
Yes, yeah.
Please. If you turn to item 6 and fill in your ins and outs, it's R&P Hargreaves sign is your in.
That's the first one.
Yeah, that's the first one. They're all run together,
Right,
so
yeah.
it's just one long piece.
Right.
Well, we really didn't know what to expect when we were asked to help come in and produce it, because it seemed to be quite a minor part of the experiment with loads of satellite channels being beamed in, but it's become an absolutely enormous success. Every villager turns on, well, not every, it's got 97 success rate with the ratings. It beats Coronation Street. People sit in and watch it. Most people seem to be videoing them all so that they've got them to keep later on. And I think the reason it's so successful is because everybody knows everybody who's on the channel. And it's a really good atmosphere to work in. Everyone's really friendly and enthusiastic.
And tonight we've got an unexpected guest, Terry Jones of Monty Python fame. Good evening, Terry.
It's nice to be on a show with goldfish.
You're also a sexful... Sorry.
Yes, indeed. I thought the adult film didn't start till later.
A successful film director.
The odd thing was that initially the villagers were prepared to accept just about anything, to see their children on telly, see the brownies playing, and then very quickly much more quickly than I expected. In about 3 or 4 days, they became highly critical. They realised it was their channel. They wanted specific items on. They said we weren't covering the Methodists well enough, we weren't covering old people well enough, there were too many young people on, we had to do more old people's items and so on. And they became highly critical. And we were able to respond to that very quickly.
The rehearsals start at 8 o'clock, and then we start recording after, so the more the merrier as far as we're concerned. Come along and have some fun. It'd be great. And before we go, we'd like to congratulate Cathy MacLeod, who retired as a secretary from Waddington and West Bradford School after 21 years working there.
A long time, yeah.
We all remember. I remember it, yeah, very well, very well. I think it's about time we signed off now. Everybody's had enough of us.
Nearly an hour tonight.
They probably want to watch something decent on TV now. Like Coronation Street.
Good nightly goodbyes.
Let's say good night to the fish first,
good night,
please.
Fish, but more important,
good night, fish.
Our children. Yep. Night, night, Laura.
It went well, I'm really pleased. 5 to 7, when Terry Jones hadn't turned up, and I just thought, oh no, please, no, not while open air here, please. And then he sort of casually strolls in at 6:58, you know. I suppose that's working in the professionals for you, but it'll take a few more years for me.
I bet you'll never see another live TV show like that one. What a laugh. We may be the smallest TV show in the world, but we're also one of the funniest.
Well, thank you all for watching. I think that's just about all from WDTV for today.
Yes, I hope you've enjoyed another entertaining programme, and I think it's about time we ran the ads.
Hang on a second, wait a minute. Take it, my job, it's my last open air. I mean, it's been great talking to you this morning. What would you say you've learnt about television?
I can be very critical and watch every move that's being made and say, yes, I know what's going on behind the camera now.
And what about you?
It's harder than it looks, definitely, when you're in front of the camera.
Has anybody ever said this to you? But you remind me of Patty Caldwell.
No, nobody ever has.
All right, well, it's wonderful talking to you.
Thank you.
Are you going to get satellite dishes?
My Uncle Stephen has one next door but one, so I think I'll use his.
Yes, I'll get it for the sport. I love it.
OK, and Leo, if we can bring you in, do you think you'll get a satellite dish soon?
I don't think in the very foreseeable future we shall be buying a satellite dish, no. I think this experience has taught us to stand back and wait. And if things improve, dramatically more than what they are at the moment.
Let's hope community TV.
Let's hope that the BSB
TV.
People and the Sky people have taken notice of the 2 presenters that we have on today, and maybe that'll enhance them.
3. That's it. Thank you very much indeed. Back now to the studio.
Hello, I'm Eric Edmondson, the local garage proprietor and chairman of Waddington Parish Council. And Waddington is the television village.
In the Lancashire village of Waddington, all is not as it seems. This small community is taking part in a unique experiment, testing the television revolution now facing Britain. The multi-channel future has arrived.
Denn auch ich will doch nichts weiter tun als das, was Sie tun.
Wednesday night on Trans World Sports.
Which has been their demand now for 3.5 years.
But we don't hear any...
Moving with the times in the ever-changing pace. And take a trip down the fast-moving world of high streets.
I think it's brilliant because we never used to have such a wide range of different programmes we can watch. And we've got like a sports channel, children's channel, Discovery Channel and all those. I think it's brilliant.
Well, I don't get the same relaxation that I did from watching, like I like to watch my soaps. Now I find that I'm more interested in what there might be something better on another channel, and I find that I flick about looking for something better all the time, and I don't sit and relax like I used to do.
Oh, I mean, it's going to cause a lot of controversy, especially in with a family in a house. I'm all right. I can pick what I want.
Overnight, the future of British television became the present. 29 channels, most broadcast by satellite, were then, cheap permitting, delivered to homes by cable. On offer, a new and bewildering choice of programs, all available at the touch of a button.
Sky
24-hour news,
tonight. On the hour, every hour.
movie channels, all-day sport.
On Wednesdays and Saturdays, we've World Championship boxing.
Shopping.
And we're looking at toasters here today on the shopping channel. We've moved away from the jewellery box.
Music and pop. Channels for children. And channels strictly for adults. After 8 o'clock, the home video channel. And of course, Waddington's own village television.
Good evening. I'm Debra Winkley, and this is your village station.
It was a far cry from the days when television first arrived in the village back in the 1950s.
If you went in a pub, maybe in Clitheroe or something like that, you'd see one stuck up on a wall. And in them days, you know, they were only a bush 9-inch or something like that. And to see a good picture in them days, you used to put a magnifying thing over in front of them. Do you remember?
Yes.
I mean, it was just like looking down the funnel, really, weren't it, you know?
Yeah.
And anyway, they developed from there, and my granddad got the first television, one of the first as I can remember, and it was a Ferguson, wasn't it?
Mm.
And we watched the Queen's coronation on it, we watched the 1953 Cup final on it. Reception wasn't good, but it was amazing. I mean, it breathed new life into the village, really, with the television coming.
It took 40 years for 4 channels to reach Waddington and the rest of Britain. Now, new technology, commercial interests and political will are combining to bring a possible 40 channels in the next 4 years. How would the people living in the television village react to the television of the future? What would be its impact on their viewing habits and on their lives?
You see? She's got a... What has she got there?
What they were watching was monitored day and night by computer. How they watched was recorded by concealed cameras. In the beginning, it was a case of trial and much error.
What's that on the telly? What's that programme?
Open champion. Still.
At first, channel hopping almost replaced viewing, especially in families with children. One family clocked up a best score of 394 in 24 hours. But on average, in the first 2 weeks, they changed channels 64 times a day.
La course autour du monde en solitaire et sans escale avec Florinichon. Florinichon, esprit fou.
Score a hometown victory. Stay with us. We'll be back after this short break.
It's a bit mind-boggling at first. There's that many channels to choose from. You end up skipping through a few and not actually watching a full programme. You know, you tend to get a little bit bored because there's that many channels. You start watching a film, and if you don't sort of really get into it, you just flip over and just watch something else. And you sort of catch off the beginning of another film, so you just start watching that. And you tend to flip through programmes more. You don't. When you've only got your 3 channels, you tend to stick to one and watch it. But with like so many channels and so much choice, that you tend to be flipping through the channels a lot more and looking to see what's on.
Friday the 23rd. After the Village TV, we zapped around available channels and could find nothing of great interest. To sum up, at the end of the first week's spasmodic viewing, we have seen a couple of or so excellent programmes, but on the whole much prefer our usual 1, 2, 3 and 4 channels. However, till now, we have seen no excessive violence or pornography.
Have you done radio or TV before?
Yes, a bit.
Yeah.
Local,
yeah. You haven't done this sort of thing?
No.
In the Sunday school, now Waddington Village television studio, an early visitor to the experiment. Bruce Fireman, a banker with a special interest in the financing of television, believes the future belongs to cable TV.
I think this is rather nice. I like the flowers there and the little, I suppose that's their mascot, is it?
Yes.
His next stop, Church Close, and the home of Leo and Patricia Murphy.
So I'm interested in what's happened to you in moving from 29 channels now. And the most interesting thing to me, actually, to start with, is what you don't like about it. And what you found, what the effect of all these extra channels has been on you as individuals and as members of families.
Well, since we've had the cable system in, I've found that I haven't watched my soaps, and there's nobody more likes the soaps than me, is there, Leo?
That's right.
For the last fortnight, I haven't watched any, have I? Only maybe bits and pieces.
You haven't watched them at all?
No.
What have you been watching?
Well, I've been too busy watching Leo zapping about. Zapping there, you know.
Oh, you mean he won't let you watch yours?
Yeah, just let's look here, Trish. Just let's look there, you know. And I don't...
My wife, though she condemns me for zapping through these programmes, zapped one up that happened to be, we have got today some excellent buys for you with 10% off. We have at this moment in time a 42-piece or 49-piece or something dinner service which you can have for X pounds.
I found a shopping channel.
Yeah, Jenny did.
Yeah.
And I arrived home and she was elated. Oh, great, I don't even have to move out of the house now. I can sit here and there's a whole host of things. And my mind boggled. And I said, well, how do you pay for these things? It was the Barclay card. Oh. So at the end of the month, I receive Barclay card bill, X pounds.
Of the shopping channel. So quote the code number PBB5. It's £26.99 in the UK and £36.49 for our viewers in Ireland.
She was absolutely delighted to see this programme was available.
Oh, it caused eruptions.
Now then, we can joke about it, but it can become a very, very serious thing, I think, in some families. That this is now available, which has never been available before. There's enough out there in that big wide world that's drawing and trying to pull us money. The Barclay cards, the banks, everybody's making it terribly easy now, and now we've got another channel that moves in and says, we can now help you to spend more money.
Why actually are they digging up holes in the back streets of Blackburn to put this cable in? Why are they starting at the lower end of the market?
The heaviest television viewers are the people who are likely to subscribe to cable. And the heaviest television viewers live in what you call the back streets. And they're the people who watch television or have the television set on for something like 7 hours a day. Now, the average TV set in this country is on for 5 hours a day. And these people often have it on for 7 hours a day. The very heavy television viewers have it on for 7 or more hours a day. They're the people who will subscribe to cable because they want more choice.
Before the actual satellite systems took off, I was very interested in having a satellite system.
Yeah.
And now that I've been given the opportunity by Granada to take part in this experiment, and we have these 25 channels, fair enough, we have a vast quantity of choice, but the quality in that choice leaves an awful lot to be desired.
Sunday, 25th of March, some general observations on the first week of cable TV. This first week of being able to have so many channels to choose from has been rather a mixed one, with the making of decisions as to what channel to turn to. And after much scratching, I am finding that the news and sports channels give me great enjoyment. But I only arrived at this situation by dint of trying all the stations, including the Delta channel, at various times of the evening and early morning.
Back at the Sunday school, even the Village channel had multiplied.
Hey.
you get ready, get on your feet, get into gear and hit the streets. It's you they want to see when you get down to WC.
Welcome to Waddington Children's Television.
On today's programme, we've got
Magic.
music, a village soap opera, football.
Music from the violin to the piano.
Well, we've got no piano.
Okay, we'll do that next week. By the way, this is Julie.
This is Katie. This is Claire. And that's Daryl, and we've got a lot in store for you today. Wow!
I like Sky Movies and the MTV channel because you can see the videos and the singing, and I like Sky Movies because there's a good range of programmes on that you don't usually see on your normal telly, and you don't have to trail down to the video shop to spend all your money.
On Sky Movies, you're in good company.
On the music channel you can see all the videos and watching the people actually sing.
Go and check your local record store because they have a new single out today.
Some of the news ones are quite good from America because they're quite interesting to know what's going on over in America.
International journalists reporting their country's views on CNN World Report, tracking the heartbeat of the world. Weeknights on CNN International.
My son is 6, and you could say to him, up, down, get your breakfast, no problem. Now we get him out of bed. Sometimes he's downstairs in his pajamas, and he can fly around the cable, the video channels, everything. No problem at all in a 6-year-old. He can operate the whole system completely. And he goes on to the children's channel. If it's not open early in the morning, he'll flick around the various channels until he finds a cartoon.
We have the same problem in the morning. At one time I used to have to fight and shout and scream to get him downstairs, and now he's down there, not always dressed, sometimes dressed, never washed, watching the television, and he is actually flicking round, trying to see what's what. In fact, the first time he went down, we caught him, I think, we hadn't had it in a couple of days, and it was 2:20 in the morning. And I heard this noise downstairs, and it was Tim flicking through the channels, which is not very good.
On Clitheroe Road, former headmaster Leslie Robarts and his wife Marjorie also had problems.
Television's taking over.
Yeah, people will try to go to.
Homework is done in about 10 minutes, you know.
Yes. If it's done at all.
Well, early in the morning, Michael does his homework in order to go out for television. That's the most amazing effect of television I've ever seen. You've seen the effect on the boys. They come in, they rush in, switch the television on. Now they've got access to the new television. They love it. They love the multiplicity of choices. We're horrified, I would suggest, as parents, because we can't control it, unless we're aggressive and firm.
It's a battle between us and the set, really, isn't it?
So who's bringing up the children? The television presenters or us?
Who has the greatest influence?
Well, I know who has the greater influence of the two. That is the television. It's changed you, hasn't it?
It has, yes. And I'm getting more and more against it. I don't dislike television, but I'm more against the influence it's got over us as a family. It's dividing us much more as a family. Not that it's going to divide the family, but it's making us debate more and have decided points of view than we've ever had before, because I'm having to be very firm with the children. I don't want them to watch what I don't want them to watch.
So you find it more threatening then?
Yes, I do. Threatening us to the family. Yes.
But when you ban us, Mum, it's your point of view, not ours.
It is, but I have to exercise the choice for you. I still feel that you're too young to exercise a moral choice.
I mean, what's Donald Duck?
Yeah, if you want to watch Donald Duck, that's fine. I'll let you watch Donald Duck and the Jetsons and whatever, and Tom and Jerry. But no, when it comes to moral issues, and that is what parents are for, we have to exercise the moral choice for you. And I'm having to exercise it more with this black television box here than I've ever had to. Whatever we've done has been so natural before, but it's not any longer.
Now, would you like a cup of coffee, or would you prefer a glass of wine?
At the home of Colonel and Mrs. Jeffrey, another visitor. When the villagers weren't watching television, they were talking about it, in this case to a leading American academic.
What evidence one can get about the way in which different age groups react to the diffusion of more channels does suggest that younger people are more ready to sample more widely across the channels than older people. And it's as if they are, if you'd like to put it that way, a lot of Trojan horses for the for the new system.
Maybe the next generation will view it in the same way as the Americans do now, that television is there mainly for entertainment. And I think children now see, I mean, I've had grandchildren staying with me, I thought it was marvellous, all these channels zipping about or zapping about, or whatever they say. And they enjoyed it. But of course, I mean, they're small, they're not discriminating at all.
I feel television is a very important medium, and it reaches into every home, and it has a tremendous impact on the life of every person in this country. And I feel it's too important to be run by businessmen whose criteria for running it is that they're capable of making a lot of money, or they have made a lot of money.
I was going...
Americans may not be watching more television, but Waddington certainly was. An average of around 7.5 hours a day. The BBC, which had the lion's share of viewers before the experiment, lost out to cable. ITV remained stable. Channel 4 had an exceptionally high share before, but also lost out. Early indications were that films and sport were most popular, followed by the music channel, watched equally by children and adults. Encouraging news for the new satellite broadcasters, bad news for the Tierney family. When Jim Tierney isn't watching sport on TV, he's playing.
Tuesday the 27th, Paul watched a children's film on Sky Movies at 4 p.m. I watched Spanish football at 7:30 p.m. and ITV for the rest of the night. Wednesday the 28th, I was the only one in, so I enjoyed England versus Brazil live on BSB Sport, followed by Scotland versus Argentina. I then watched a horror film on Sky Movies.
Sunday the 25th, Jim came home in the afternoon and was disappointed that he'd missed the German Cup final on Sky 1. In the afternoon, he watched the European football.
Wednesday the 4th of April, I stayed on ITV and BBC all night, again mainly for sport. Later on I switched to Eurosport for European Cup roundup.
If we had all these channels in our house all the time, there would be a lot of arguing. I think we've all been fairly tolerant, as it has been temporary, but certainly the sport would eventually get on my nerves.
But yet another specialist sports channel arrived during the course of the experiment. British Satellite Broadcasting entered the race, hoping to challenge Screen Sport and Eurosport. Also on offer, Home Video Channel. At first glance it may look like children's TV, but it's definitely adult entertainment. Available now on cable in Britain, HVC is a nighttime service offering a mix of low-budget suspense, horror and soft porn.
Now what can be so attractive in that though?
It's licensed by the Cable Authority, but is only available to subscribers who specifically request it. In Waddington, around 20% of cable households watched it regularly. Here, though, it was free. Subscribers are normally charged around £5 a month.
My experience, unfortunately, of Channel 34, as Tish will tell you, is I've always managed to pick a horror movie every night, and I think I've tried about 3, maybe 4 times. The first one was that...
Knickers Ahoy something, Ahoy Knickers, is it?
That's right. Which were a bit of a silly laugh. And I said, there's got to be something better than this, come on. And I sat up, well, I don't know, 12:30 or something, 1 o'clock, watching something that I thought, eventually something's going to happen. But no, it finished up rats diving down people's throats, and the next one were about, the next time I watched it, were about spiders. So I haven't had a great deal of success really with the adult.
No.
But I'm not, you know, on that particular one, it's the violence. You know, that the one about the rats is not something that I'd want Julie to be watching.
But what everyone wanted to watch was the Village Channel.
Tomorrow night we've got the Barbershop Quartet, which is 4 of them. But tonight I'm just going to hand over to you boys. You've got 3 songs, am I correct? So, ready when you are.
We want to start right off by saying hello. It's good to be in Waddington doing this show. So gather round in the Red Rose Town with a song in the barbershop style.
Waddington Village Television regularly won a 95% audience share in peak time. In the 1990s, local television could be delivered by cable or microwave, and the government has indicated that the new 5th channel might provide some local TV. The Village channel was fun, but it didn't pay its way despite local advertising.
Capricorn, you're as young as you feel today, Capricorn. Don't sit at home feeling all forlorn. Get off telly, try a little harder, then book all your expenses to Granada.
But in the real world, it's not village television that's on offer, but dozens more satellite channels. By the end of the second week, many villagers, like the Murphys, were troubled.
It could finish up that we'd all be wanting our own little televox to go and watch his own programmes if we got so carried away with it. We're not going to allow that to break the atmosphere that we've got in this household at the moment. So that's a hell of a lesson, really.
When you get your first television set, you just had one BBC, didn't you? Then it grew to 2, and then when we got 3, it was marvellous. You get 4, what do you get now? 54, don't you? So where's the end of it?
And next week at 8, the TV Village concerns itself with the quality of television being dished up. And talking of quality, I'm pleased to welcome back viewers in Gloucestershire, whose reception of Channel 4 has now improved drastically after transmitter problems.
So what? You always wear a bit of a drip.
Right, Jim. Wait a minute. What is it?
It looks like...
It's a treasure map.
A what?
Buried treasure, look.
Buried treasure?
Buried treasure? Yeah, that's what they said. Buried treasure. They've got a map.
Sounds like a hoax to me.
But what if it isn't? What if it's true? What do you think, Carol?
All right, tell them. Find out more.
But what if it's a joke? It's not a joke. Look, X marks the spot. So, anyone could have drawn that. Are you going to help me dig or not?
Yeah, I suppose so.
Well, come on then. Let's find this buried treasure.
Well, it's definitely true. They're going to go and dig for it now. All right, let's follow them then.
Hi-ho, it's off to work we go. Even tiring day for us today. Hi-ho, 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 hi-ho. It's off to work we go.
Come on, gotta hurry up, we'll lose sight of them.
Carl, you don't have to choose some stupid places.
Stop! I found it! It's here! Yes!
Quick, let's have a look. Quick! Get it open!
Quick! Get it out! Get it out! Get it out!
Waddington and West Bradford Primary School.
The children of Waddington Village with their own telethon adventure film, Indiana Jones Eat Your Heart.
Indoors.
be secure.
Whatever you want to be in life, you want to be with Prudential.
When no one drives faster to deliver, why use a delivery company that stops here?
Follow me, Metro number 1. 5-speed box, okay. Hurry. New suspension, okay. Wait. Show me. Not specified. Enhance. Rover engine not specified. Divert engine. Uh-oh. Engine oversize, engine oversize. Enlarge car, reposition engine.
What's the matter with you then? Packed up for the day? No. What are you doing then? I'm saving energy. What for? Because Dad said we should.
Move yourself, Willie. I meant energy like electricity, not your energy.
How do you save that then, Dad?
Got the local electric people to tell me how.
Oh. Hey, Willie. So did you save enough energy to come out with this? Oh, no. Not that much.
If you'd like advice on using energy more efficiently in your home, speak to your regional electricity company.
Folk are buying stacks and stacks of round Tetley tea bags.
So they'll need somewhere to stack them in these free Tetley stacker tins.
You're watching Channel 4, and in half an hour, Checkout looks into the medical help available when travelling by plane. But before that, the television village comes to realise that even with a choice of 34 channels, sometimes there isn't anything on.
Hello, my name's Debra Winkley, and I'm one of the presenters on the Village Channel. This is my husband Dave and my daughter Laura. Dave plays for the local football team, and we all live in Waddington, and Waddington is the television village.
Waddington in Lancashire has been getting a taste of 29 channels of television. They've been confronted by what the Broadcasting Bill calls choice, and lots of it. By the third week, the villagers had come to terms with the number of channels and were now taking stock. The choice they could assess, but the question of quality was more elusive. How did the new channels compare with the tried and tested and familiar?
The problem that we've had up till now is that television programmers have actually programmed the least disliked programming rather than the most liked. And that they've moved towards producing stuff that will be, which tends to be rather bland. And also, we've got a system in this country. We have two channels which mimic each other in BBC One and ITV, which have very similar things. And if you ask people, did you see that on BBC One or ITV, they often give you the wrong answer. They don't know. Because the two are very similar. But they can tell you that it wasn't on BBC Two or Channel 4. But they mimic each other, and people can't tell you whether they saw something on BBC Two or Channel 4. And that has actually deprived consumers of choice.
Before the actual satellite systems took off, I was very interested in having a satellite system.
Yeah.
And now that I've been given the opportunity by Granada to take part in this experiment, and we have these 25 channels, fair enough, we have a vast quantity of choice, but the quality in that choice leaves an awful lot to be desired. Sport, I'm into sport very heavily, but I don't like baseball, dog racing, Nordic skiing, and I think the way it's pumped out 24 hours a day, the sport channel, the quality, again, leaves a lot to be desired, but the quantity is there.
Waddington Village Television chose to provide some public service programs for its viewers. It quickly established a regular children's slot on Saturday mornings, which offered a traditional mix. The children attempted to cater for specialist audiences and to get the ratings.
And now, in front of the WDTV white wall, here's Helen with a short piece of music. It's Blind Date with Sydney Black.
Hello and welcome to Blind Date, the show that your telly was made for.
The adults, too, were thinking beyond entertainment. They also saw their television channel as a way of providing a service to the community. The vicar was given his own regular slot. It was religious broadcasting, but it had a down-to-earth touch.
With me also on the sofa is Alan. He's come to give us his thought for the day. Over to you, Alan.
Thank you, Debbie. Yes, there's a space between us.
The people of Waddington, being villagers by birth or by choice, have a view on the quality of life that doesn't always accord with the urban brashness of much modern television. Here they have their own way of doing things. New ideas are welcome, but only if they offer something better. As a community, the villagers reflected on what they had received.
How does a small community take to and manage the multiplicity of channels available through cable and satellite? What will people watch? Can there be, or need there be, some controlling agency inside each home, or by legislation, so that the innocent are protected from the ugly or the bad or the downright crude that is available?
Now the time has come.
The villagers were given, but only on request, home video channel.
Because your dreams
Channel 34 offered a schedule of horror films and soft pornography.
We did expect pornography, a lot more pornography. There's a certain amount on the 4 channels. But we did expect quite a lot more.
Explicit sex, really, and violence.
Explicit sex and violence, yes. And we had heard that there was a lot of rubbish, you know, from our friends in Switzerland. And we were agreeably surprised. We haven't had the famous Channel 34 that people talk about.
I saw some of it. It was presumably a horror. I didn't see much of it because it was a waste of time, I felt. But it was laughable, really. It was so unreal. It's the sort of thing, to my mind, my nephews, when they used to hide behind the sofa when Doctor Who was on, it came into that category. You know, it was larger than life, and there were great big insects crawling around. And You know, so I turned it off.
So you didn't like it?
No, it didn't upset me at all.
It didn't upset
no,
you
or
at all,
disturb
no,
me,
no.
because it was so fatuous, really.
The proportion of Waddington viewers who regularly watched Channel 34, around 25%, was less than the national average figure of nearly 40% in areas already cabled.
God, I don't know where they dug them up from. They really are. Well, third-rate films. I've never come across anything like it. As far as they must be really digging them out of some of, some of their depth.
Rubbish. Very, very low-cost, cheap films. I don't know how they can get away with making them, actually. Or they must be making them at a tremendous rate, because they're really poor. Very, very poor stuff.
But I didn't think it was the quality that channel was there for. I thought it was there for something else.
You mean the electric blue ones? Well, I've had that on once, but it's not I've seen before, and anyhow. Unless it comes on with 3 umps or something, it's nothing I haven't seen, and it's just rubbish.
I mean, you mentioned earlier the fact that why is it always the women that take the clothes off? Why don't the men take the clothes off?
I mean, I only said that. I'm not interested in seeing a bloke take his clothes off, but it's always women that take the clothes off. It is. It's always like for the male audience, isn't it?
There should be like live stage shows. There's no reason why those quack me on late at night. Manning or Jimmy Jones.
Being really blue.
Really blue, some people like listen to that sort of thing. I like listening to a good comedian. And that, but I don't want anybody telling me you can watch this and we'll censor that. I'm old enough to watch what I want. I don't need some silly old woman or Lord who is it dictating what I want to watch.
To deliver the programmes to the village, a new franchise had to be created, which was held by Lancashire County Enterprises and licensed by the Cable Authority.
There is a code and a set of guidelines saying what the limits are. I think that the way that we actually regulate cable television is that, if you like, we build a large stockade. Within that stockade, anything is possible, but once you actually hit the wall, that's it. You've hit the limits. You can't go any further. As far as the quality of it goes, we are not arbiters of quality, unlike the IBA, because we are not set out to be so. But the regulator in this case is the viewer. If the viewers actually think that the home video channel is rubbish, then they won't buy it anymore. They won't pay for it, and it'll go bust. And that'll be the end of that.
March 13th. Late evening, Tricia's retired to bed. Decided to have a look at the adult movie. But this proved to be quite embarrassing when I heard Tricia's voice at the doorway. "What are you doing? What the devil are you watching?" I just closed my eyes, pretending to have dropped off to sleep.
Seems to me that are available will naturally dilute the nature of television. The competition will be so great that some will become refined and specialized, of course, and some will aim at the cheap, the sordid, and the perverted. Market forces, as they do now with newspapers, will take care of some of the worst and some of the best, and we'll sift them out. I personally have no fear of television. The staying power of a good library and the permanent need of people to gather in groups for shared stories and companionship, all that will remain.
villagers, Waddington itself represents quality, and the new television had to meet their standards to find a place in their lives. For some, it was the specialist channels that came closest to doing just that.
I personally have found the 3 channels I only ever watch: Eurosport, Screen Sport and MTV. And if each one of those channels had a subscription charge to it, I would subscribe to those channels and enjoy them. Regarding things like that, I just wouldn't subscribe to it. It wouldn't interest me. I wouldn't do it. But some people probably would.
Jim was away this weekend and I was at home for 2 nights on my own, and that's really the only time that I ever get to watch what I want anyway, it's when I'm at home. So I thought, great, you know, 30 channels.
Tell them what you watched.
No, 30 channels.
The Aerobic Adventures of Zorro.
You didn't tell us that, and quite honestly, I couldn't find anything that I was particularly thrilled about watching with 30 channels. And I ended up watching a video.
What about the film channels? Do you watch films?
I do. Well, I actually enjoy a good film. But again, the choice of it, I haven't actually seen in the week that we've had the system on one film that I would say I will sit down and watch it.
I would agree with that. The quality is pretty poor, really. Also, quite a lot of repeats in the sense that, you know, with Sky Movie, you get the same film repeated perhaps 3 or 4 times in a month. Being a sort of bit of a film buff, you know, I'm sort of rather disappointed, you know, to be honest.
Bond, James Bond.
In fact, the villagers did watch the movie channels. 2/3 of the families tuned in, on average, at least twice a week.
Now, of course, in the early years, you do have a terrible problem. You set up something brand new called cable television, and you somehow create a whole lot of new channels. And I think the incredible thing is that throughout the UK, there are 66 channels available on cable systems of one kind or another. 66 channels, which is quite incredible when you think about it, that they're all actually functioning at all. But in order to feed those channels, inevitably you have to start up with a limited amount of cash, because you need to get some cash back before you can start splashing out in production thing. And I don't think anybody is under a delusion that what we are seeing on our screens now is the zenith of what will be available on cable television in the future. What we're seeing on our screens now is the beginning.
I wouldn't have it.
We said once we got married, that was one of the things we were going to treat ourselves to, and we were going to get satellite television no matter what. When we moved in that house, we were having satellite television, and my attitude towards it all has changed completely. If Jonathan was to say, we're having satellite TV, I'd say, what a waste of money.
But on the other hand, if somebody said, would you have satellite TV, but you can pick the channels you want and just subscribe to each, would you do that? I mean, I would personally subscribe to the sport and the MTV.
Well, I've spoken to people who've like lived in America and South Africa and also Australia, and they said British television's the best in the world, and I thought, oh, rubbish, like. But having seen that cable, I can appreciate what's gone behind the programmes, because the quality just isn't there.
Quality. Right at the very start of this, I made my position clear that I was worried about the future, because having seen American, Canadian TV, and indeed Australian, the terrible low quality of it. And we criticise the BBC, we criticise ITV, but by God, it's damn sight better than anything else in the world.
Say 5 years down the road, let's say it's taken off, maybe not both of them, but let's say one of the satellite channels is now functioning. Would there still be a need for a BBC, even if by then the licence fee is up to £100?
I would have thought so.
If you've got 25 channels, why have the licence fee? Why have BBC at all?
Why? Because of the standards.
And because of the function of the BBC as an educating council. The other programmes are purely for entertainment, and channels 1 and 2 have an educational value in schools and in homes.
It's the traditional expectation of a varied programmes that probably we expect from BBC. That there is an amount of films, of sport, there's news, and it's part of our lives because we all know that.
Would you agree, really, that what we have now on our 4 channels is maybe the best in the world?
I would say that it certainly rates amongst the best in the world. One of the problems that I have is that this idea of quality is so intangible. I mean, how can you actually, what is a quality television program? I mean, how do you actually watch a program and say, what makes you say at the end of it, that was a good program?
I think the parallel is that you've got the BBC service in the same way as we've got the National Health Service. And it's there for general use. And then on top of that, with Sky or the other channels, it's just like going into the Bupa situation, where if you want to pay for something different, then you can specialise.
Our aim is to illuminate, to stimulate, and to entertain.
Both BSB and Sky claim they are serious competitors to the traditional broadcasters, offering a range of programming, but with the added advantage of specialist channels. Waddington took a liking to many of the specialist channels. Discovery, with its gentle diet of nature programs and documentaries, was favourably received.
World watchers, welcome to the first truly global television news service, CNN International.
Waddington had two 24-hour news services available, one British and one American, CNN, an American station that has become international.
CNN International brings the events, the images, the ideas of the world to you for a global...
Sunday, 1st of April. Switched on cable news network to see USA coverage of our poll tax riot. Images more horrific than BBC's. Then I saw the Sky's version.
That's Sky World News Tonight, only on Sky News.
Sky News, the 27th of March. We're beginning to enjoy Sky News very much, not rushed, and while covering disasters, not always focusing on distressing detail. Very thoughtful in political matters with the absence of regression, party-wise.
The things about terrestrial television, as it is at the moment, that attract me are primarily the current affairs programmes, the scientific programmes. I like watching detective series for relaxation. But it's the factual programmes that television can do better than any other medium, and that's what I really watch for. Now, that is very much a minority audience that's catering for, and it's over the years, it's the various charters of the BBC and Channel 4 which have kept those programmes going. If commercial pressures become preeminent, then I think they'll just fade away, and there'll then be very little television that I shall want to watch.
What do you think of our little setup?
It's amazing. It's staggered. And most of it is local news, local affairs, what's happening in the village and so forth. Yeah. And anybody like me who happens to be passing through.
Yeah, we were grabbing them and saying, would you like to come on, you know?
Jolly good. So you take Jonathan, who's going to be in the middle, and you take the MP whose camera left.
Two of the politicians most concerned with the government's broadcasting bill visited the village. Both were members of the House of Commons committee that argued out the legislation line by line. For balance, Labour's Mark Fisher came to the Village Channel studio with Ken Hind, Conservative.
Personal private secretary, yeah?
Waddington television presenter Jonathan Brown faced his first major political interview.
With me, I have Ken Hind, who's a Conservative MP from Lancashire West. Hello, Ken.
Hello.
And also, Mr. Mark Fisher, MP for Stoke-on-Trent. He himself used to be a documentary filmmaker. Good evening, Mark.
Good evening, Jonathan.
What are your thoughts on the future of ITV and BBC?
Well, I think BBC's audiences will shrink because I think naturally with the growth of choice we're going to have more satellite stations, We will have more cable stations. We're going to have microwave stations. We're going to have community stations like this one. So that I think everybody's audiences will, to a certain extent, decrease. And therefore, there is an even greater incentive for the people who are producing television programs to produce quality. Because that's what the public will want. Hopefully it will drag up the standard and not drag it down.
What do you think about that, Mike?
Well, that's obviously what everybody wants, but, I mean, television costs an awful lot of money, and if you try and divide the advertising cake between more and more channels, any one particular channel, like ITV or Channel 4, could find itself in the position in the mid-1990s of having far less money to invest in quality programmes. And I think the intention behind, or the agreement behind both sides of the committee is quite considerable, but we don't think the government have got it right. And whereas this could have been a very exciting bill to really set up ITV and Channel 4 for the 1990s to really compete with these interesting new channels that are coming along, the danger is they're going to be weakened rather than strengthened. And the great future for television in the 1990s, we might not get as good a quality as possible. But as Ken says, to be fair to the government, they have responded to the criticisms that have been made both by people in the industry and the media and by the opposition. And there have been big changes in the bill in committee, and I think that we now see a different bill, and a lot of my original fears, which you quoted, we are less pessimistic, or I'm less pessimistic than I was a few months ago.
Television will never completely satisfy. As a medium for communication, I believe it is limited and flawed, and those who operate it know it is. Full communication has always involved more than what's in front of you, eye contact. The best communications are person to person, of course.
I remember being at school one day and the teacher of our class saying that in the near future there will be something arriving in your living room which will stand in the corner and which will take over your life. I now feel that with all the multi-channels and everything we're now able to get, we're getting somewhere near that point.
That really sums up the whole argument for this satellite experiment.
The villagers may have criticised the new television services, but they certainly watched them. They watched twice as much television as before the project started, mainly to test and scrutinise. But they were mindful of preserving the best of what they already had, and wary of what might lie ahead.
Well, next week, the good people of Waddington will be learning to cope with wide screens and high definition and finding out just how much this technological revolution will cost them. Further revelations from the television village next Tuesday.
5 hours. What happens if you're taken ill on board?